Good morning.
Morning.
Have you guys seen this video? Allie sent me this a couple days ago and I almost lost my mind.
Shout out to Infowars.com. Hey, stop what it is, man. Hey, I heard Infowars.com. Red pill, yeah, we red pill. You need to get your red pill. Shout out to Infowars.com. Red pill, like we red pill. And we gon' make it, yeah. We red pill, man, we snapping, man. Hey, I say, man, you just got it from the island, boys. I say, shout out to Infowars.com. And I say, don't worry about what anybody gotta tell you. Red pill, that's just who we are. We've been snapping for way too long.
We've been sleeping for way too long. God, talk about Alex Jones's new theme song for his show.
Seriously, we need a collab right now.
Yeah,
Infowars and Island Boys.
I'm upset because I didn't see these guys before Halloween. I could have been one of these dudes for Halloween.
Easy costume.
Easy. It would have been hilarious. So I'm a little upset. Once I saw this video, I was like, oh my God.
Shit.
My hair's totally long enough to do that.
Yeah, you texted me.
got
You're
the
like, oh my
tattoos.
God.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. Then she would have had to dress like one too, and
I could pull it off.
that would have been real funny.
Come on. Yeah.
So today, this week, we're gonna talk about healthy stuff. And Steve, quiet! Steve hates
Sorry about my cat.
when I start doing videos.
Yeah.
Cause he doesn't, I don't know, cats don't like pitchy voices, and I guess I have a pitchy voice.
He likes being the loudest one in the room. He doesn't like you being the loudest one in the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Infowars.com.
These are the homies, though. Shout out. One more time.
Red pill, yeah.
Red pill.
You need to get your red
Pill.
Infowars.com. Red pill, like we red pill. We gon' make it, yeah. We red pill, man, we snapping, man. Hey, I say, man, you just got it from the island, boys.
Can't you fuck? Come on.
Infowars.com. And I say, don't worry about what anybody gotta tell you. Red pill, that's just who we are. We've been snapping for way too long.
Rest of the day, it's gonna be stuck in.
Yeah, all day the
welcome.
other day I was
You're
hanging
welcome.
out with my son and I kept playing it over and over again. He was dying because he's like 12. Oh boy, we don't want to watch that.
No, turn it off.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about, I know you guys see me talking about my high sugar, high carb lifestyle, our high sugar, high carb, high activity lifestyle, and you think I'm crazy. So we're gonna talk about it a little bit because I've been having more and more friends, the more I talk about it, hit me up with questions. I had a buddy hit me up recently that was like, I quit sugar completely for a couple months and I feel like shit. And, this is something that when I first met Allie, I was doing like intermittent fasting, I was vegan and, veganish. Yeah, I was shady vegan. And, she's like, oh, you fast? And I was like,
how's that working out
what do you
for
mean?
Yeah, I just asked questions.
Yeah. And she told me how she eats like a pound of sugar a week and bread and carbs and all this stuff. And I was like, and she doesn't supplement with anything and she's low protein. And I was just like,
You're
okay.
Bitch, how are you alive?
So I was a little shocked.
Yeah, you brought up like bread or something. You're like, oh, like I can't eat bread. It makes me fat. I'm like,
yeah.
I challenged you on like a couple of things, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting. Like
I'm in general, and even before I met her, and definitely above average. I eat far better than almost anyone I know, and I have the persistence to keep two things. I had been doing intermittent fasting and stuff for a while. I was really skinny. Felt pretty good most of the time, but didn't have much stamina. Anyway, so when she told me all this stuff, I was a little shocked. And now, whenever I post about this on Facebook, I definitely noticed the same reaction, except on Facebook it's easier for people to straight up talk shit opposed to me just
Yeah.
talking to a girl that I was interested in dating. You know, you're more apt to listen than just completely dismiss it and talk shit. So last year, or it's, I don't know, going, I guess, a year and a half. I guess it took me a while to buy a bike. So by hanging out with her, you know, I started learning more and more about endurance sports, I guess, and like really how to turn up your cardio and like how to sustainably maintain your health without damaging your body from the inside or the outside physically by like hurting yourself or eating the wrong things or taking a diet that's actually causing you to be deficient in nutrients that you really need. Before we met, I was way into yoga, which it works your cardio. Definitely. I was doing hot yoga, so I was very much into that kind of endurance type of working out. Doing hot yoga for 90 minutes a day, you know, for like a month straight is definitely not an easy thing to do, and it kind of set me up perfectly for going and riding bikes with her. So once we started dating, after a while I realized I never got to hang out with her because she's always on her bike. And so I was like, I guess I have to get a bike if I ever want to hang out with my girlfriend. So I ended up buying a bike. And over the next year, I completely transformed my body by changing what I put in it and changing what I did to it as far as activity-wise. I was a very above active person to begin with, but never in the high cardio endurance range, like running or doing any type of long distance, 6 hours at a time, strenuous. That's definitely not something that I would do. The thing was that she could be pro if she wanted to like not have a life and to only do that.
Okay,
so it's
sure.
like it's not like I just started riding with someone who was just an average level. She's above average, and right off the bat started dragging me up like world class climbing. Shush. World class. We live right by the Santa Monica Mountains, which is one of the most beautiful places to train cycling in the world. Pros from around the world come here because it's so nice. And so climbing is like a very intermittent thing, intermediate thing in cycling, and she kind of just took me right into it, and with a bike that wasn't really prepared that well for it. So it was like boot camp. Shush. It was like boot camp right off the bat, but in a very short amount of time, you know, I completely changed, and I started realizing it. About 6 months in, I remember I was hanging out with my son, and we were riding bikes around, and we were going up this hill that was way too high to ride, too steep to ride. And I grabbed my bike, and I grabbed my son's bike, and I ran up it, and it was like 100 yards, and it was very steep. And I got to the top, and I turned around. My son was nowhere. He was way down the hill. He was all, whoa! Like, I'd run up this hill with these two bikes, and I wasn't even breathing heavy, and I was like, damn, my cardio is getting crazy. And that was a long time ago, and it's just, I don't know. It's been very interesting and unusual, because all these things that we were taught, or that we're taught by the media and the powers that be and Netflix and all this health stuff, you know, that's clearly influenced by corporations and the government. You know, they've been, you know, forcing it down our throats our whole lives, and they're completely not true, at least as far as, being an efficient human health-wise goes.
Just going back to like seeing your progression, like from my perspective, I could definitely tell. I mean, even you being someone who, like you said, had a pretty good background as far as being fit and active, and definitely the hot yoga helped. Seeing your progression and body change was very impressive
in
because
6
it was
months. Remember, it was like we were tripping out 4 months in, and then by the 6 month point, like we were out riding with people, her friends, or we bump into someone that she knows, and they're like, "Oh, how long you been riding to me?" And we're like up in the hills climbing, and I'm like, I don't know, 6 months, and they're
no,
like,
they're all damn, yeah.
because it takes like years if you're not eating right, you know, to be able to build that kind of fitness to climb for 3 hours, you know, on a bike, you know, up hills.
Yeah.
I remember I used to pass people, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like I'd yell at people that were riding. Cyclists,
Oh, like,
I'd drive by them and be like, "Buy a fucking motorcycle!" Like I'd never imagined in my life wanting to do
that
cycling and climbing and shit like that. And
Yeah.
in the beginning, it was really hard because I wasn't eating right, because I'd still had my habits and how I ate, which was basically a deficit diet, which is not good if you want to perform at all at anything. If you want to be sedentary and you just want to sit around, sure, you can do that, but you're not going to live long that way. Yeah, where was I going?
I don't know, but it was interesting though seeing like it was putting my stuff to the test pretty much. Just because
she was able to coach me basically and see someone. I mean, I was above average, but I wasn't like a slob or anything like that. I was at least like a step above average, and then to see no skills whatsoever on a bike outside of what I learned when I was a kid, which I rode a lot of bikes when I was a kid, so I at least had some sort of base fitness. Going from not having any experience climbing, endurance climbing, I guess, or riding long distances, to 5-6 months later, like not being as good as you, but like being able to like keep up with you all day and do 100-mile bike rides, 6 hour, 7 hour long days sitting on a bike, riding and riding and riding, and like riding up hills, which is crazy. But anyway, we're gonna start by watching this. This is a pretty cool video. Zac Efron's the total douchebag, but this series he did is kind of interesting, but this is definitely the most interesting one because he goes to Sardinia, which is the place that has the most centenarians, or the top few places that has the most centenarians in the world.
Oh man, I gotta get out of Hollywood, dude. I'm done. It's not a place conducive to living a long, happy, mentally sound life.
Which, yes and no. LA is kind of the easiest place to eat healthy and keep an active lifestyle because we don't really have winters here. So that's kind of, but it is a big city.
Mentally.
He's talking about mentally, sure.
Yeah.
In Hollywood, yeah, where he lives, nightmare.
No, I'm not leaving Hollywood.
Hey!
I would never do that.
Oh yeah, get it. Whoa!
I'm doing research,
All right, you're an expert.
not to play a shepherd,
I admire your work. That was beautiful.
but to find the secret to living a long life.
The way this is shot is all really funny too.
Life. The one thing we're guaranteed when we're born is that we will die. We just don't know when. The quest to extend life on Earth is as old as the dawn of time. From ancient mythological fountains of youth to the modern day scientifically designed elixirs. This is to this European island because it boasts one of the longest human life expectancy rates.
What year were you born?
Il 9 agosto del 1918.
In fact, they have 10 times more centenarians, people that live into their hundreds, per capita than the United States. So what do they do differently?
Buon appetito.
I'm so happy that I'm eating carbs again.
Oh.
What did they feed the animals?
He's happy he's eating carbs. happy.
Wait till they get to that part. He's like flipping out.
Zac.
Low protein, high carbs, natural foods. Ciao. This is for
Low protein,
What?
high carbs. That's crazy.
Ostrich.
I thought you were crazy when you said that shit. It's like you don't eat 60 grams of protein a day.
Lives. This is Sardinia.
I hate you.
Let me start at the beginning. A few years ago, I met Darren.
Can't feel my feet or my hands. Proud of you, bro. Yeah.
So
He's a guru.
I'm just gonna pause for a second because we didn't really like talk about the show or anything. Like I didn't really know about this. I showed this to you because I watched. Was it from? I think like it was Cometown. They talked about this
Shout out
show.
to the homies.
Yeah, shout out to the homies. It's pretty cringe.
It's a pretty
so Zac
cringy show.
Efron hangs out with this dude. I'm pretty much gonna copy their analysis. He's like a SoCal like surf bum
Buff
dude, like
dude, buff SoCal
buff
dude.
in his 50s with blonde hair, like
Yeah.
into new age shit. Like the but you know, it's the other episodes of this show I've kind of skipped through and they're pretty cringe, but it's very entertaining. Like
Yeah.
it is bad, like wonderfully like bad television that I haven't seen something like this in a while. But
Yeah.
this episode was actually, we stumbled across it and I'm like, oh hey, this is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's actually well done and
But if you guys want to see some other like just like cringe shit, like watch the other episodes. It's really funny. Just had to add that in there.
Of healthy living and superfoods.
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You could say he wrote the book on the subject. Literally.
A healthy lifestyle, solid principles.
Darren and I are traveling around the world to find some new perspectives on some very old problems.
That's Mother Earth, bro.
Searching for healthy, sustainable living solutions for the planet. Wow. And all who live on it.
Woo! Ignore the crazy white guy.
And hey, you gotta eat too, right?
You don't have to eat it.
How does it move like that?
My God.
It's time to get down to earth.
Trippy, dude.
Seulo. It is very well known as one of the places where the number of centenarians compared with the population is one of the highest in the world. That's why we are actively studying this village and we are collecting data.
Do you think?
What is it about this?
Do you think Zach rolling it?
yeah,
not
it
yet.
seems like Zach's popping pills.
Watch him throughout this episode. Just as a side note, like it's, you know, information's interesting, whatever. But yeah, like,
and who
it's
knows,
like-
because these actors are on all kinds of shit, and so he's possibly detoxing while on this trip,
He gets
or
really sweaty and he looks people deep in the eyes. I don't know. It's
like, he
interesting.
gets
Just
really
watch him. Just
awkward at
watch him.
certain times.
Just
It's
as like
really
a
funny.
separate entertainment
Like the
factor
diet.
to all this.
What are like the things that you notice most consistently?
A little bit of meat, particularly lard, that they used to put in the minestrones, lots of vegetables, mostly things that they could cultivate in the backyard. And they
Had a low protein diet.
You know that especially in the States, high protein, some sort of weird connection with health and strength.
Yeah, so low protein, high carb, high sugar goes against just about everything that's popular in health right now, especially whenever I post about things on my Facebook. It's all these either carnivore diet or keto diet people that come here. So the fact that they're in one of the few places that's has the longest living populations, and the dynamic is that they're finding that they're high carb, low fat, or not necessarily low fat, but
Lower fat,
Lower.
lower protein than standard American diet for sure.
and you know, it just like goes against that. So it seems
Yeah.
a little strange that everyone online seems to think that this high protein, high fat, low carb is the way to a healthy long life, when these guys are finding the complete opposite.
But in fact, what you're finding is a low protein for longevity.
Yeah, let's say you weigh 120 pounds, it's probably about 50 grams of protein. That's enough.
Right.
And
For
past
the
that,
entire day.
for the entire day.
Because there's people that do that in one sitting.
But this is certainly contributed to what we showed, which was the risk of cancer in those that had the highest intake of protein was 4-fold higher.
And that turns on the TOR gene.
TOR, short for target of rapamycin, is a regulator of cellular growth in the body. When you're young and growing, you need rapid cellular growth. When you're past middle age, it's best to slow that cellular process down. Otherwise, too many may lead to mutated cells or cancer.
That's like pouring gasoline on the potential of cancer, right?
Not just cancer, I think, is really pushing the accelerator on almost every age-related disease.
Oh my gosh. I ate so much protein when I was...
See, he looks sick right now. Like, he looks sick there.
Yeah, he's like, I've eaten a lot of protein, bruh.
And you're not gonna find this information in almost in any other Netflix documentary. There's all these documentaries come out that are,
I mean, they have like what the health, like didn't it?
Yeah.
But they're very like.
But all these keto, anti-sugar, all these documentaries, people are just like screaming about on Facebook. They think they know everything about sugar, and that sugar's this devious plan by the powers that be to kill us, and that it's a drug, like, which is just not true at all in any way whatsoever. So, and then people are obviously having some sort of results by doing these diets, but the results they're having are because that the fact that they're doing a different diet and they're no longer eating like shit.
It's like, what are they no longer eating that they were eating before? Doesn't necessarily mean what they're eating solely now is leading them to health or giving them better health. It's like, it could be health by omission. It's just, it's not so black and white. And we're not saying that there's not people who, I guess, haven't gotten health benefits or haven't improved their health switching.
Or most people, they just say they lost weight.
Yeah.
And losing weight doesn't equate to being healthy.
Let's be real, like that's most people's.
Nor does having a lot of muscles equate to you being healthy.
Right.
It can be a byproduct of you being healthy, but that doesn't mean that you are healthy because you are skinny and muscular.
And or whatever the ideal.
Yes.
Perhaps.
I had a diet completely based around protein for almost 10 years of my life.
It was, if you look at smoking, at some point your risk so many years after you quit, it's the same as for people that never smoke. So the good news is what you did for
there's hope.
Yeah, I think there's more than hope. Probably, after a while, it won't make that much of a difference if you keep a good diet, what you did, 10, 15 years ago.
Because that's the resiliency of the body.
Well, thank you. I literally just took a deep breath. That makes me feel a lot better.
He tripping.
The level of longevity based on the number of centenarian scores.
He looks like he's crying. His eyes are all red. Maybe.
Yeah, is that why they're zooming in? They're filming it like The Office or something.
Isn't he a big pothead?
Is he?
I had to write
I'm keeping up with old Zac.
Articles. My colleague asked me how we can name this area, and I suggested the name of Blue Zone because it was created by the blue dots.
Are you serious? Wait. So the term blue zone you invented because you only had a blue marker?
Yes. If I had the red marker, this was the red zone.
Oh my gosh, that's too good.
That's amazing. To find out how the term blue zone came to be is almost worth the trip alone.
So, where is it in your studies? Is there a way?
And how we collect the data.
Awesome.
So we can go right now.
Straight to the source.
We arrived at the home of the doctor's next test subject. A 98-year-old woman named Liliana.
Ci dica l'anno in cui è nata e la data in cui è nata.
Sono nata 15/4/1920.
E suo marito aveva più grande di lei.
Mio marito è arrivato all'età di 103 anni.
Both of them made it to such an extreme age, and so probably the environmental factors here are as important as the genetics. When you have in the same household 2 different people making it to that age, it's extremely, extremely rare.
Dr. Pez and Longo study so many aspects of aging. Put simply, how does aging affect the mind?
Your brain runs off of carbohydrates and sugars. If you don't have sugar, glucose in your blood, you get hypoglycemic. You will lose brain function, and then your body will stop working. People seem to have this idea, because I've had people say it to me 10, 15 times in the last month, that sugar is a drug and you don't need a single bit of it, which is just absolutely not true. You can look up the definition of
the idea of
hypoglycemia.
ketosis. People argue, oh, run off ketones, like that's starvation mode.
Yeah.
We can survive. I mean, the human body is pretty amazing
But wouldn't you
with
rather
what
have-
it can survive with, but we're talking about optimal health here and longevity. That's a completely different argument.
And gas tanks. Wouldn't you want 2 gas tanks rather than one?
Always be running on these fumes.
Yeah,
You
like,
know, it's
it doesn't make much sense. But our brains and brain function and long-term brain function definitely depends on, it's necessary to have carbohydrates. And in the U.S., you got people that are 60 that look like this lady who's 103, and their brains are completely mush, and they have
she's
Alzheimer's.
98 or something. Her husband.
Alzheimer's, okay, but yeah.
Up there.
Up there.
But yeah, they're completely debilitated.
So if you starve yourself of carbohydrate, the things that run off of it, which is every single cell in your body, you're starving yourself. That's what, calories in, calories out? Is that whole thing?
Yeah, the idea.
To lose-
lose
lessen
weight.
the calories in if you want to lose weight, starvation, and that's what I was doing when I was eating once a day and fasting for 18 hours. And I felt good because I felt like I had more energy for sure, and I would fall in and out of doing it. I did it for like 2 years, and I would absolutely see, that I'd wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to do anything. I didn't have that same energy, but there was a very quick end to that. I mean, that energy ended. And it definitely wasn't something I could go ride 100 miles or anything like that.
Right.
Or
But it's
be
enough to
riding
where,
20, 30 miles a day.
Yeah, like you said, you'd have like a cup of coffee. I mean, I know I've gone through periods, the same thing of just having long periods of time fasting, intermittent fasting, and then coffee, caffeine. There's other things that are used to there's definitely that need to intake something to give you energy. Even if you're not if it's not sugar, if it's not carbs, if it's not something, I mean, our body has to process and turn protein or fat, whatever we eat, into carbohydrate, into sugars to use it. So, and also the number one source, if we don't have enough carbs, what does our body take from us? Do you know what that is? What does it burn first if we don't have enough carbs?
What?
Protein, your muscle.
Yeah.
You literally burn your muscle. Unless you're,
Which
people
is
talk
the
about
opposite.
ketosis, but again, it's you're in starvation mode. So it's this constant balance. My stomach is grumbling talking about this. This is making me really hungry talking about being starving.
And being active too. You can't. It's just people want to argue with me all day about this stuff, but they aren't doing anything cardio based. A lot of these people are simply lifting weights, which is bare minimum really, and you're preparing yourself for something you're never going to do.
Yeah, to a point. I mean, certainly we all want to have, ability to lift heavy things, and also for keeping, for osteoporosis for women, they've found lifting weights helps keep up bone density, and there's certain reasons why, but we're talking specifically about trying to achieve having an aesthetic as a goal here rather than functional strength,
which is body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
I know people really aren't going to like hearing that, but if someone who is starving themselves because they think they're fat when they're not, it's no different than someone who is severely altering their body in that direction. We don't hear about it as much, but instead of, it's just
Yeah, guys look in the mirror and they see this tiny little dude when in fact they have big muscles, but they're, they have this, unrealistic standard of beauty, you may say. Well, you look at these celebrities where they're achieving these bodies and they're doing it by starving themselves and testosterone and whatever, whatever other help, and being dehydrated, and it's not a sustainable and a good model of health. It has nothing to do with optimal health and longevity whatsoever. So it's, a lot. I feel like that's a big goal for a lot of these people who are into the keto diet, is this aesthetic of
this unrealistic aesthetic.
Yeah, unrealistic, or at least unrealistic, doing it natural,
sustainably
and,
unrealistic.
Yeah, living a good life and having good relationships with people around you, and feeling
good mentally
good
and
enjoying
physically.
what you're doing. I mean, it's our body. Like I said, our bodies are pretty amazing at what we can survive with and sustain and survive. Survive, but that's like, we're trying to not just survive. Like,
Plus, these diets aren't focused on sustainability long term. And what's the word they use?
What?
What's the word they use for living long? No. Oh, it'll pop up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I want to live to be 120. I don't want to die. Like, I had a friend pass away of a heart attack pre-jab. They didn't have the jab yet. It was first year COVID. I had a friend pass away who's 2 years older than me. Jeez. Had a heart attack. Is a cook. Eats like shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna be me. I would far rather live longer and not fit some unrealistic aesthetic, and not wear my body down by trying to stay healthy, when this idea of healthy isn't actually healthy. It just doesn't make any sense. And I've like you said, I was working out a lot, and I was hanging out with my brother, and like over a couple months, I didn't see him, and I saw him again. He was like, "Dude, you're fucking huge," and I was like, "I can't see it at all." Like you can't really. And you're always wanting this more that just doesn't really make sense. Because just having a bunch of heavy muscle on you, you're gonna need to eat more. You're gonna need more resources, and then what are you using that for realistically in your life? Just to look cool on Facebook, or like Instagram, or are you actually? Do you have a job where you have to carry really heavy things? Like, are you? It doesn't. It's like someone buying a giant pickup truck and driving it around all the time, and it's like, dude, why do you have that pickup truck? It costs so much,
like a pickup
and you're
truck,
you're consuming so much with this thing, and you aren't even utilizing it. Yeah. Or it just doesn't make sense, and usually that's where you'll come into sustainability issues in life, is when you're driving around a truck that gets 6 miles to the gallon, and gas is $6, and it's just like, unless you're a contractor and you actually use the bed of that truck, you're driving around a dangerous vehicle. Trucks aren't crash test rated. Like, you'd be surprised how dangerous trucks are in collisions, and like people driving around with their kids in them and shit. And they're supposed to be for you just going to work and back. You're supposed to drive your regular safe car around with your kids. There's a lot of that. But anyway, we'll keep going.
A simple test like recreating the numbers on the face of a blank clock can show how well the mind is working.
So wait, I'm clear on the test. She's just putting the numbers on the clock down.
And while it seems pretty straightforward and easy, to those with dementia, the numbers will be a jumbled mess on the page, if they're even written at all.
So she's pretty much...
If they even live that long.
Liliana has lived over 3 times as long as I have. That's really hard to wrap my head around.
Brava signora, guardi, ha fatto molto bene, brava,
We live in a world where it's almost frowned upon to age.
In the U.S., if you're that age, you're like in a home, a vegetable practically. If you even make it that late, like.
Unfortunately,
I guess I never like to think about growing older.
What a cool chick.
That was amazing.
She was awesome. The way that she spoke and her energy was so positive and so uplifting. Like, she was like, thank you for having us.
Is he
in. It's so
rolling?
cool.
I think it's starting to kick in now. Yeah.
Or he's coming off.
Our next stop
Yeah.
is a place where many stories end. Because in this cemetery lie the remains of 20 centenarians.
This was the first hint that the population of Seoul is really exceptional. Ciao, Pino.
This is Pino, another doctor who has been studying the longevity phenomenon here.
Io ho ricostruito la genealogia di tutte le famiglie.
This is the genealogy tree that he built.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah.
The common denominator is that they were all residents of this area.
E questi sono i capostipiti.
But more importantly, Dr. Pino discovered that going back all the way to the
All of
1500s,
these people come from
77% of people here can trace their lineage back to just 5 names.
So this is 500 years ago.
450 years ago.
Yeah.
Ecco, vedi la donna.
Oh my God. And that fact.
Believe that a genetic mutation might be a key factor to the local trend in longevity.
Right. So, in fact, the suspicion that we all have is that there are genes. They carry genes that make them much more likely to become centenarians. But see, but this is also interesting, right? Because you can live to that or twice as that based on lots of the things you do. You know, even though you might have the same genes.
Right. So the lifestyle factors are playing a massive role in this.
There is no doubt. Yeah.
Like you said, it's not a bad spot to rest.
So basically, the last part, they basically debunked the whole thing. Then,
Huh?
what they were looking at then, was he saying, oh,
No,
like,
he's
depending
saying-
on the genes,
No,
depending
he
on
was
where they
saying
go?
that the same family members, some of them were living to be 50, some of them
That's
were living
what-
to
yeah.
be 100.
Yeah.
So it depends on, he debunked that it's genetic.
Yeah.
Is basically what that was.
Or solely based
solely
on
genetic. It had to be
genetics.
something environmental, something
Yeah.
that it's their lack of stress living on this beautiful mountainside, not living in a city in
Some
western,
combination of the
like
environmental factors or
and
some-
what they ate,
something.
their exercise.
Yeah.
105 settenissimi.
How many?
105, right?
105.
I heard Cinco.
And he has a sister of 102 million.
Fratelli che hanno superato i 95.
Because now anybody, can have 20 million followers and, give them some crazy idea, right?
Well, that's exactly what I didn't want to be.
But you'd be surprised how many of your colleagues
I know how many of my. I'm not surprised.
don't have that view.
It's shocking to me. It creates these trends and all of these facts.
What's he saying? Trends and facts that aren't true about health?
You don't say.
Since he's being open to this, which I was being open to her about it because it was someone I was dating. He's actually being open to the idea that this high protein, high meat, low carb, low sugar lifestyle is possibly, better longevity wise. And he's doing some real work right here.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to be able to admit that you're wrong about something like that, especially if you had done it and if you think you were successful doing it. That's why, all these people on keto, they've lost weight. And they're like, what do you mean it's unhealthy? I lost weight.
And that's why I feel so blessed to be here.
And I think here is a great overall lesson. Learn from the people that have been successful for hundreds of years in doing it. And then, of course, the science can make it easier, can make it better, can do all the kinds of things.
And the science can make it better, but if you ignore it, it won't make anything better.
My mind's blown. This has been a fantastic day. Thank you for sharing this wealth of knowledge. I really appreciate it.
The next step is to prove that there is a genetic mutation. Isolate it, then find a way to introduce it into test subjects. The end result would eventually mean we could extend human life.
And even though I'm living in Malibu and under beautiful trees, I'm not this relaxed. that the right place?
Yeah, 11. Where we're meeting a local travel expert, Mario.
Hey, Mario. Zach.
This is the kitchen of Vittoria Murgia. What better way for us to study this blue zone phenomenon than through the local diet? One of the most essential foods in every Sardinian diet is penne carousel. Traces of this thin, almost cracker-like bread go back to before 1000 BC.
Why do I want to throw this at you right now?
I'm not sure.
Prego. No.
No?
There's something very communal about this experience.
No, you suck.
To think that
This is the part I always get the right ratio of flour during the roll.
No.
No?
No.
No. There's a lot of no's coming from that station over there, Zach.
Oh, Jesus.
Cringy
Stop,
American.
you're messing it up is a phrase that I understand in any language.
I had a good thing going. I'm covered in flour, and this thing's just not working out. Thank you.
Allora, facciamo così, guarda. Così.
Like this?
So that's just the transfer.
È stato più bravo lei.
Huh? Yeah.
I hate you.
Bisogna portarlo al forno, il pane.
Carry this
Forno.
He's sweating.
and take it to the oven.
I'll take it.
Zach can take it. Go, Zach.
Che bellino, Zac.
Do I have to balance it, or do I use my hand?
Yes.
No balance.
Oh, yeah, I'll just do it like that. Ciao. This is for you?
The next step is to bake it in the oven.
I'm so happy that I'm eating carbs again.
He's happy he's eating carbs. That's because carbs make you happy. Your brain runs off of carbs, and when you give it carbs, it's happy. You're not unhappy. You're not stressed out. You're not screaming at people around you.
Like I went like years without eating carbs. When I shot Baywatch, I didn't have a carb for like 6 months. I almost lost my mind.
I almost lost my mind.
You need this. It's so good.
I still can't get over how this diet of carbs and low protein is the exact opposite of everything any trainer has ever taught me.
Pure genius from the mouth of Zac Efron.
Our last part of this experience is, of course, dessert.
Hi, Steve.
We're gonna see how they make an old traditional favorite. I'm talking 16th century old.
Yeah, good. Bravo. Darren, where'd you get this stroke down so well?
Yeah. They're just like churning cream and almonds and eating them in a
Yeah.
How long do you do this?
It's delicious.
But they're processing it. Processing food is bad!
Now there is
Another fallacy. Processed food. Processed food. Just processing something doesn't make it bad. It's like bullshit propaganda catchword.
Yeah, marketing.
Marketing garbage.
Oh my God, really?
Whoa.
Oh
God. Where should we eat?
Is that edible paper?
Yeah, it's edible paper.
Delicious. I mean, I taste mostly honey and almonds.
Oh my God.
In the words of Owen Wilson. Wow.
Wow, that's really nice. Wow.
Pretty good. You're getting there.
Amazing meal.
Yeah, you can tell.
Thank you.
Francesco is 97 years old. He's lived here his whole life. He served in World War II as a pilot, and later he was a shepherd.
What's your day look like? What is a typical day?
Passeggio e andare in strada, è solo passeggio.
Walking, that's his main activity.
Well, should we take a walk?
Yeah.
I'd love to take a walk.
Ci facciamo 2 passi, andiamo al bar.
Andiamo, io sono pronto. Mi prendo la giacca.
Prenda la giacca.
Like, dude looks 70 in average American, probably. So at least 30 years younger.
Yeah, take
Crazy.
Steve.
Very, very dapper. Molto elegante. Complimenti, dice. Facciamo.
We're on the move, taking a walk that Francesco does about 3 times a day.
This is a fairly steep walk. He's clearly in good shape.
He needs.
Francesco enjoys
So carbs, low stress, which eating carbs lowers your stress because
Definitely
you don't
helps.
have anxiety. You don't have the mental issues that you have from being depleted of something your brain needs.
Yeah.
And exercise. You can't expect to be healthy if you don't exercise. Lifting weights is not enough.
series of hills and steps in his neighborhood. In total, it's about a quarter of a mile round trip.
Well, if there's one of the easiest exercises you can do, go up and down hills.
Very time efficient too. Time to.
Low impact.
Every day he walks to a bar.
Un vino.
Alcohol.
Okay.
Cafe Americano?
No sugar.
He's like, that's gross.
Salute.
Salute. Salute.
Salute. Dici salute, San Francisco.
How does he keep such energy?
Yes. He's asking if you're okay with the steps.
Yeah, they're not easy steps. I'm starving.
Yeah, me too, man.
Minestrone is a soup, usually made from seasonal vegetables, beans, and pasta. It was originally a humble blue-collar meal, created as a way to combine leftover ingredients from other dishes. But today, it's a main staple in this
I'm
Brazilian
hungry.
diet, which follows the tradition of locally sourced vegetables, legumes, and grains.
Wait, isn't he plant-based?
Thank you guys. I'm very excited to try this.
Obviously, yeah.
Beautiful.
He's eating
The modern
Plant-based doesn't mean
Western
vegan.
world is so
Doesn't mean bacon.
carb-phobic.
Yeah.
Put things in
There's nothing wrong with pasta and bread. And even sugar is the quantities. If you have 10 grams of sugar a day, that's okay. If you have 100 grams of sugar a day, that's not okay. So
Wrong.
I
Wrong.
think it's really about.
It's only not okay if you're not active.
So that's this thing we're talking about this anti-sugar thing. It's creeping
Been ingrained in
into
us since
everywhere.
our birth.
Yeah, like I remember, at least in the 90s, my mom was on the Atkins diet. Like Atkins was huge. So even from back then, yeah, the low carb, high protein, higher fat. I mean, it's been happening for a while. I mean, it's a common argument too against this.
And it ain't helping
high carb
anybody.
thing. Yeah, it's.
Didn't help Mr. Atkins, that's for sure. Dr. Atkins.
Didn't he die?
Croaked. Yeah, heart disease.
Oh, Jesus. So I think. There you go. Yeah.
So many people are preaching high protein diet. They say, okay, fine, you think it's good for longevity? Well, let's go around the world and find a group of people that is long-lived for a long time and it eats a high protein diet. It doesn't exist.
This is the reason why it is not.
Oh my God. It doesn't exist. Wow. Man. All my Facebook friends. Yikes.
What we need is to first to filter what we have learned from the blue zone. For example, more physical activity.
Yeah, and physical activity doesn't mean going to the gym. It means do everything like they used to do it. Go up the hill, lifting.
Exactly.
Stay
Can't just go to the gym.
mentally active. After retirement, people stop to do things and they become passive user of the television, for example. Of course, in Seoul it's easier because many generations are living sometimes together. So you can exchange ideas with your children, with your grandchildren, and so on.
Yeah, that's something I could definitely work on myself. Just the nature of frankly
I feel like
being
that guy
an
hates
actor
him.
or being in the public eye, sort of. I currently have a roommate, but sometimes it's hard to go out. The sense of camaraderie like that since we've been on this journey, we become friends and a crew.
It doesn't mean go out clubbing, bro.
I can feel myself. feel when that is not a part
Is
of
he
it.
rolling right now?
Yeah, seriously.
And it's isolated, it's
got a little
slow, it's a
dewy
lot more,
sheen to him.
it's not quite as happy.
I've learned so much here.
Yeah, I gotta get out of Hollywood, dude. I'm done. It's not a
I need to get
place
out of the city.
conducive to living
Yeah.
long, happy, mentally sound
Dude,
life.
move
And
to
when he
like
says Hollywood, he means just a city. Doesn't mean it's specifically Hollywood where people are stressed out. It's all the city. It's being required to come up with the amount of rent you're supposed to come up with and food and how, the prices in the cities are so high. That is the stress that he's talking about.
quality of living
It's the
is.
city. It's not specifically Hollywood or Southern California. It's everywhere where you live, where you're not living rurally.
I mean, I love California. I think that dense population of people in city life is clearly not leading to many centenarians.
Yeah.
Plenty of California that looks like Italy, though.
Yeah.
People think California and they just think LA and San Francisco, and it's a
The
solid
whole
city.
coast is just it's not no.
Like 10 minutes from here, it looks like the freaking Grand Canyon. Yeah.
And tending to these
Oh,
creatures
shit.
takes a lot of energy. And could quite possibly be another
So
reason for the
cringy.
longevity phenomenon. Shepherds walk on average anywhere from 5 to 13 miles a day. Not on a treadmill like a giant hamster, but out here in the hilly countryside, and with purpose. Doing my favorite thing, milking.
What?
Shot him.
That's right.
Favorite thing.
Eat this? Wow. I feel like I'm milking a new thing every episode.
Ah, this reminds me of Chimby in Puerto Rico. I miss you.
Expert milker. Look at him go, though. Oh, yeah, get it. Whoa. All right. Professional. I admire your work. It smells.
Oh man. Yeah, so
Dr.
exercise.
Dr. Longo.
Exercise.
Everything.
Again, exercise. Not just going to the gym and lifting some weights.
Or like maybe not even call it exercise. Being active, like
Yeah.
activity.
We don't
Consistent
call our
activity.
cycling exercise.
No, it's the consistency really that's
Yeah.
key.
It's just something you have to do. Like, we wouldn't go a week without writing unless we were injured. And it's just how our brain, like, once you get used to it and you stop looking at it as if it's exercise,
I gotta go exercise, yeah.
or the gym. The gym is just the worst place, the worst environment you could ever actually become healthy in.
I mean, it's better than nothing, but
Better than nothing, but
and it's, I guess, person to person what you really enjoy doing, but when it comes to being able to do something very often, I mean, like, cycling's it for us, but, like, swimming is also another, as far as, like, low
very
impact.
good, low impact.
But just something you can do, like, just like I said, consistency is key. It's activity. It's not even exercise. It's the wrong word for it.
Yeah.
They said made so much sense. They weren't on any life hack. There was no fad or pills. Not
They
trying to
weren't on a
expand their
life
Instagram
hack.
platform, and this is not just be, a follower, not just be one of the sheep.
Good.
Oh,
Except
yeah, we got the red pill.
Our
Don't
visit
be
to the Blue
sheep,
Zones
bro.
made me rethink everything I've ever thought about nutrition,
Infowalls.com.
and lifestyle in general. I think the real key is living in the present as best you can, each and every day.
glad to see you.
Aw, Zach.
Life is a gift.
All right, so yeah, feel good, wholesome, Zac Efron, making some pretty good points and some pretty good observations while doing a little bit of, I guess you could call it scientific research. Men's Health, who's very outspoken about their criticisms of the keto diet, posted this article, which I found earlier, basically showcasing the fact that he, we're using Zac Efron. He's obviously a douchebag and a celebrity, but he's someone who's been held up on a pedestal because of his physique and his fitness, and he's obviously had problems with keto, and it's mostly around his mental stability. And so Men's Health wrote an article, pointing out the fact that he's like, he said in the video that he's just loves that he's eating carbs again, and that he was going crazy when he wasn't eating them. And another example, this lady, Sarah Wilson, who's, I guess, like kind of one of the first big people to build an empire around the low or no sugar movement that's happening right now.
Her book's called I Quit Sugar.
She's the lady.
Yeah.
She has these ongoing anxiety problems that she hasn't been able to fix with her diet, and it's just kind of crazy to see people so caught up. And this is a good example of what we were talking about earlier. When I met Allie and she told me how much sugar she ate, I was like, "Are you crazy?" Like, because we've been programmed since birth that sugar's bad. And this lady doesn't even know that she's going crazy because of the diet that she might know, but, she's wrong and she doesn't want to give it up because it's her whole empire, it's her whole life. And she has this ongoing anxiety problem, just like Zac Efron, who was on low carb to no carb, lost his mind, and that's why we used him. Normally I don't even know who the dude is, really. I just know she told me he was a Disney kid, and he, whatever. But anyway, we were going to watch this video from, Harley Johnstone is his name on Facebook. Durianrider. Kind of a funny, what would homie say? Polarizing character.
Which
Harley's kind of a crazy Australian, famous health coach, really.
Yeah, YouTuber,
he's got,
health coach.
I think like 230,000 subscribers on YouTube, and has a very unorthodox diet that seems to work very well. And we've been on, I know Allie's been doing the high carb diet for a long time, and I've been doing it for about 1.5 years now. And I'm quite impressed by it. The more research I've done, once I was able, since she's someone I was, dating at the time, I was more apt to listen to her. And the other thing is that she's one of the fittest people I've ever met in my life, but she eats very strange. And, when I met her, I was just like, what? Like, we'd go out to dinner and she'd like just get a plate of rice. And I'd be like, I'd have like all this food. And still to this day, when we go out to restaurants, she'll just like order mango sticky rice or like, something sugary, carby, and she's fine. And it was, and lots of processed foods, that was another thing. Like I was like, you eat this shit, but she's one of the fittest people I've ever met. So, it must be working. So.
And I've noticed in this 1.5 years, his performance, you started riding a bike, right?
Yeah.
Because of me.
Because of her.
But, we're both on Strava. You recently got a power meter. We're looking objectively, we're talking objective, like performance times
over the last 1.5 years.
Riding through certain segments, and your improvement's been crazy as far as like how quickly you've improved in a short amount of time.
Like we did a race recently, and like there were a couple problems that held me up, but my performance in the race outside of those two problems for being someone who had like only 8 months been cycling for 8 months was like crazy.
There were people who have been cycling for longer than you have, and they couldn't finish that day.
And I finished in pretty good time for my age group.
Yeah, relative to, all things, it was pretty great. But this
and I wasn't a cyclist before, I just, the last serious workout I had been doing was doing hot yoga, so it's like, which helped with cycling because it's hot yoga is also an endurance sport. Like you have to like keep yourself from passing out in yoga just as much as you have to on a bike.
Yeah.
So they're pretty similar. But anyway, this is Harley, aka Durianrider.
Was it Harley? I know a lot of cyclists are douchebags. I work with a few cyclists at my work. And the douchebags. Why are so many cyclists douchebags, Harley? Can you give us a bit of light in there? I wouldn't say. I mean, where do I even start at this one? Where do I even start? I'm 44, never had a driver's license, and so I live by the bike. Ride to live to ride.
Harley's a critic of... Basically, Harley's a vegan who criticizes veganism, which is how you really get down to... It's the type of research or the type of critiquing where you actually find out, real stuff. Not just like, oh, veganism's unhealthy, which you'll hear all kinds of dietitians say and stuff like that, where it's like,
statements.
Yeah, these worthless blanketing statements, because one thing that I've figured out is that we have been taught since birth that this muscular physique represents health, pinnacle happiness. But in reality, it's a unnatural state for humans to be in, and it isn't, necessarily healthy, and that many people are striving to hit this certain physique level, this aesthetic level that isn't really realistic, and in that, it becomes an eating disorder or body dysmorphia, really, just as much as someone who bulimic is. So, it's just fitness isn't as black and white as we've been taught it is by the powers that be, by the media, by the government.
Most cyclists out there have eating disorders. That's a fact. Straight off the bat, let's get into it.
And most people who go to the gym regularly and who call themselves body lifters, weight lifters, most of them
I'm talking the Western cyclists. I'm not talking the Chinese person who bicycles just transport and they don't even own scales. They just eat rice and fruit and veg and small bit of animal product maybe. And they just slim because that's their diet and that's their lifestyle. They eat low fat, so they have low fat in their body. We're talking the mainstream, Australian or American or Euro recreational cyclist, the person who spends $400 on a Rafa jersey or $5,000 or $7,000 on a SL7 frame or a Pinarello Dogma F20 we're up to now. And that's okay, I'm all for getting people out on bikes. But most cyclists have eating disorders.
AKA, most people have eating disorders. And most fit people, or most people that work out a lot, possibly have eating disorders too, because of the misinformation they've been getting or incorrect information about fitness.
Or what we hear about, what our favorite celebrity does to shed the baby weight or get prepared for a role. These people are engaging in methods in order to get this physique, this idea that so many of us have in our minds as the ideal. You don't realize they're living unsustainably. They're eating unsustainably. They're working out unsustainably. That's the main thing, is sustainability.
Long-term health and stability in health and mental stability and physical stability.
Like hot and cold, 1 minute bang, next minute, and that's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but it is okay. It's okay to understand what's going on there so you don't take it personal. Like cyclists, it's... because you can burn so many calories on the bike and you can burn through carbohydrate really quick, and maybe your serotonin's going to be low, your dopamine's going to be low, so your mood's just up and down. Then throw in the caffeine culture of cycling, It's just bam. That's just people get real manic and high and then crash and feeling depressed and snippy and snatchy, going into the Facebook groups, etc. So that's why a lot of cyclists are douchebags. But then again, it goes for it goes for running as well. A lot of runners are douchebags. They've got eating disorders. They run. They're just like up and down on the uppers and the caffeine, the Ritalin, the methylphenidate, the dextroamphetamines, the Adderalls, modafinils, things like that, phentermine, just, and it's crazy. It's like really bipolar, like what's going on, like it's crazy. And I've seen it all, I've seen it all. I can speak from personal experience, and I've used some of these stimulants as well. Never for weight loss, because for me, being lean is just a side effect of my low-fat diet. So when I've ever used stimulants, it's been for performance enhancement, and mostly as a decongestion, just to really open the lungs up and get that extra 20, 30 watts out potentially, if I've had a bit of a hay fever or cow allergy, etc. So, but people using stimulants for weight loss, man, that is like a roller coaster of negative emotions.
And then this is something really, really popular in the keto community and low carb community.
Yeah.
It's kind of I know we've talked about this. We both used that in the past. That's kind of part of your day is caffeine. Most people I know, at least, who are eating like that.
Cyclists just lose big contracts because of eating disorders. It's crazy, man. You wouldn't believe some of it's insane. It's really, really sad. I've seen people lose marriages, their family hates them, their teenage daughter or teenage son despises them, their workmates seem absolute douchebags, and these people are good people, man. They're good people, but they just let this eating disorder get out of hand, and it makes their mood just, oh my God, 1 minute they're really like passionate and friendly, next minute they're just like, rah! And you're like, man, it's very, very bipolar. It's about the eating disorder, the dopamine and the serotonin levels, the calories in, calories out mentality. I weigh myself in this calories. Oh my God, half a kilo. I'm half a kilo heavier than yesterday. I won't eat until I go to the scale and I'm under. It's just stupid shit like that. We're doing this as adults, man. We're not 13-year-old girls getting ready for prom or whatever or some nonsense. But jump on the forums. Just go to any cycling forum. Type in. I started at the top.
So something that's been happening since day one of me starting to post about my results on the high carb diet is that people go absolutely ballistic on me. It's as if I'm skipping down a road in Israel screaming about how the Holocaust didn't happen. It's like it's the worst of the worst reaction, this negative reaction to the idea that sugar is actually fuel for every cell in our body, and that our brain and our organs and every cell in our body needs it, and that if you're depriving yourself of it, you're literally starving every part of your body to death, and you're not going to live as long as these centenarians are living, who eat carbs.
You can survive, but it puts your body in survival mode. You're not in optimal thriving condition mode. It's amazing what the human body can survive, but we're not talking just surviving here. Like we're trying to do, we're trying to enjoy life a little bit more than just surviving.
Yeah, and having 2 gas tanks instead of 1 half-empty gas tank. Like we couldn't live the active lifestyle we live if we were not eating carbs. Like we wouldn't be able to do anything, and
or I wouldn't be as happy.
Yeah, we ride bikes for fun because we like adventuring and
just enjoy everything about it.
Yeah, everything about it. And then it's like the fact that we get fit doing it is a byproduct. Like I didn't even realize when I first started riding. A couple months in, I look down and I'm like, damn, like my lower body's freaking shredded right now. And I didn't even realize it because I'm not like going to the gym, obsessing, looking at my muscles all, I wish they were bigger. I was just out having fun. And all we are doing, by showing you guys this stuff is that there's a simple, fun way of staying fit where you can eat a ton of food and have fun exploring the world, adventuring, riding a bike, and keep yourself like at a almost elite athletic level, and you don't have to be scared of all this overeating,
too much weight,
we don't have a scale in the house. Like, we have a tiny scale to weigh our bikes, but we don't, like, I don't give a shit what I weigh. And the thing is with this diet also, and with the active lifestyle, never in my life, I've been vegetarian my whole life, vegan for I was vegetarian till I was 16, then from then to 22 I was vegan, then I ate meat for 10 years, and now I'm vegan again. Like, I've done it all and gone back and forth and done the intermittent fasting, and I've done all this stuff, and I've never was in control of my weight, of my aesthetic, of my performance as I am now. If I want to have washboard abs, I can just add a little protein and a little bit of fat to my diet and do a shitload of crunches, and in a week and a half I'll have washboard abs if I want those, which I don't right now, because right now I'm a cyclist, so I want to be lean and strong. And having huge muscles doesn't mean those muscles are strong. That just means they're huge. If you're cycling, like we're cycling, where power to weight is, you want to balance the power to weight ratio. You don't want all this bulky, pointless, aesthetically pleasing muscles, vanity muscles. You don't need that shit. And if you're trying to, lose, like if I wanted to lose that shit, I could lose it in like 3 days, because like we eat very simple, and you can adjust how you look just by slightly changing what you eat, adding a little carb, adding a little bit more fat, a little bit more protein if you want to gain some weight, and if you want to lose, you take those away.
You can just, or just go on a long bike.
Long bike, dude.
Go on
we did this race.
100-mile
she
ride.
Left. She went on a 130-mile race. I did the smaller race because I was like, you have fun with that. She came back physically 15 pounds lighter looking. Like, I weighed myself.
It was like 9-10 pounds, which yes, a lot of it's water weight, but still, it's like when you're living like this, you can just put in a day to like a week's worth of effort and drastically change your body, but you can just
you have control of it.
You have complete control, which is kind of the ideal. It's a very good measure of health, I would say.
With any other diet I've ever had, I was not in control, and I was always trying to counter however my body was fluctuating. Oh shit, I'm too skinny right now. Oh shit, I kind of, like skinny dude like me having a beer gut looking, it just doesn't look right. It looks awful. So like, I'd be like, oh shit, like I'm getting this weird beer belly, and just always be fluctuating. Where now I'm set where I want to be. And if I want to change in another way, it's a very simple, cheap, effective couple weeks of work to be able to, if for some reason, if we know we're going to go on a hike, then we're going to not ride our bikes as much. We're going to go hike more. Like you adjust for however your life is. But the deep cardio aspect of this, I don't know. We'll get back to Durian.
Nonsense, but So that's why people jump on the forums. Just go to any cycling forum. Type in. I started up a topic. Say Durianrider thinks sugar's really good. What do you guys think? Man, that's just gonna that's like napalming.
Try it on your Facebook.
Napalm on a freaking
See what happens.
storm, and it's just gonna get people just blown. Durianrider says, another topic, Durianrider says you should eat unlimited calories from refined sugars, white rice, fruit smoothies, fruit juice, fruit, and refined white sugar. Watch that just light up.
Triggered.
If you tell people you can eat unlimited carbohydrate, 90%, probably 95% of people in the West are going to be like, they're going to unsubscribe, they're going to hate you, they're going to be like, Just no. Do you know how many people I've had in my life? And then I said, you should eat more sugar, you should eat more carbohydrate. And that killed it, man. That killed it. Like the friendship or whatever we had going on, just dump.
Why is that? I have that happen to me every week. People will leave, people will get upset.
Yeah.
They'll say I can't, like they flip out. And you have to question as a truther. Like, why am I having this reaction to something that I know I don't really know anything about?
Yeah, emotional reaction to nutritional advice or even lifestyle advice, diet advice, whatever you want to call it. Like,
or if
people
it's
get very emotional.
Contrary to the last Netflix video they watched, the last Netflix video, you know, I know we just used Zac Efron's video as an example, but you're rarely going to come across, you know, anything saying that carbs is good these days.
Yeah, there's vegan documentaries, like What the Health. There's some good ones, but still, though, people just assume, oh, those are just vegan documentaries. There's nothing.
And
we're
most
talking
vegans
like
aren't, you know, are low sugar, low carb.
Yes, and even those, even a lot of those vegans and people in the vegan movement. I mean, it goes to the extreme of like, you know, extreme
and those
fasting,
are the ones you see
fasting.
that are all sucked up and like, you know.
People talk about anemic vegans,
and those
vegans.
people have body
dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia and
body
eating
dysmorphia.
disorders.
Yes,
you can't call it anything else. You can't call it veganism.
No.
You can't call it they eat lots of sugar. Like
they don't have enough protein. They're not eating enough protein. No,
it's an eating disorder. They're starving themselves exactly like people on keto are.
Yeah.
They just do not want to have me in the radius at all. You know. And it's sad, you know, but it's happened a lot. It's happened a lot of times, and I can't help myself, you know. Like I know, you know, I can pick some eating disorder like within probably 10 seconds, just by what clothes they use, how they stand, what's their mannerisms, etc. And so often I'll put the sugar thing on the back burner because I know as soon as I drop this sugar thing on this person, they're going to be like, "See you later, see you later." You know?
Weird.
It's like, and all those people come to me for inspo because they want cycling tips or running tips or weight loss tips or whatever. So I'm like I'm the inspo, a thinspo sort of person, and then I'm telling them what they should be doing versus what they think they should be doing, and there's just like this whole cognitive dissonance thing going on crazy. So it's really, really sad. It's basically like drug addiction. You know, eating disorder is like a drug addiction where people get into a psychosis and they can't see the damage that they're doing to themselves or people around them. And it's at different levels. I mean, some people are really like, get really, really depressed and they're just like a bag of freaking bag of lead to be around. It's like, you leave them, you're like, oh, my energy's just sapped. And some people are really awesome people, but they're just caught up in the grips of this eating disorder, so they can't give to their kids or their husband or their wife. You know, and they're just moody up and down, so their life potential just gets cut. I mean, look at Greg Douchet. And no hate to Greg. I'll bring him up because he brings me up, so it's all good. It's a bit of banter here. But Greg Douchet, Greg would never do a live debate with me. Ever. Never do a live debate with me. You know, he's even blocked me on YouTube, even though he comments on my videos here and there. But I'll go to comment on his and hey, my comment's not there in the group. So it's like, that's what I mean. It just creates this unstable sort of behaviour. You know, so many people, even in the vegan community, you know, most vegans have eating disorders. So, I mean, I could rattle off so many names. It'd post up a lot of drama, though, wouldn't it? You know, but yeah, it's really sad to see, man. It's really, really sad to see. So, calories in, calories out, I guarantee you will turn you into a douchebag. And if it doesn't, if you've got a heart of gold and you're doing your best not to be a douchebag, calories in, calories out will rob you of the energy and passion that your kids or your partner or your friends or everyone around you deserves, that you can give, that you have wanting to give, but you don't have enough carbohydrate because you have some stupid weight loss goal that's way beyond reality. And so your calories in, calories out, you're starving yourself down, and then your energy just gets sapped. It's like a you know, like a microphone here. You know, I can hold it right out here and it's like, it still works, but it's not as good as like up close here, you know what I mean? So it's like that, like calories in, calories out. You're like right out here, still getting the job done, but it's not this unlimited carbohydrate calories. Whenever you crave the sugar, fruit, white rice, you cram it in every day, you're good to go. So calories in, calories out will make you a douche. Get rid of the scales. Unless you're on a steroid program, like I'm doing a weight gain, we're trying to get up to 90 kg. So I'm tracking the progress and monitoring the dosage of anabolics I'm using, etc. And keeping my time trials like minimal. Natasha wants me to pace her here and there, so I'll go out and pace her, but just keeping my fitness like not too high. That's why I just laugh. People are like, I can't get skinny, I can't get lean. I'm 110 kilos and I've got this big dad bod flub, and I'm trying to slim out, And I'm just like, dude, this just stop eating so much fat, man. It's so easy to get lean. I mean, it's easy to get too lean. If you're doing my protocol, you're probably going to get, you're going to get too lean. And there's going to be a time where you have to pull back the time trials. You've got to add in more fats, or both, ideally, potentially. So I just, I'm like, I'm watching you for 10 years, I want to try it one day. And I'm like, come on, man, do it for your family. It's not about being lean, it's about being productive. But you will, when you are your best productive-wise and mood-wise, you will be super lean. A healthy lean versus too lean. Obviously, for us guys, we have a bit harder there. Women want us to look masculine and strong, and that's fair enough. But for women, it's just like, boom.
Aren't you swole, babe? What the hell?
It's just perfect for women, perfect for women. So many women write me and go, wow, I'm no longer a bitch anymore. Mate, I'm 99% bitch free. I finally get enough carbohydrates and I can be the best mum. I can give the son and my daughter the attention and affection they need. I mean, if you're a parent out there, man, what are you doing calories in, calories out? It's going to destroy your kids. Your kids won't grow up to be functional adults because they've had a dieting mum. I had one of those, or a dieting dad. So it's like, that's crazy. My dad had bulimia. And I was the only person he ever told my family, and so I told that to my mom. Made my mom watch some videos, and I told that to my mom. She's like, that's not true. He never told me. And I'm like, Mom, just because someone doesn't tell you something doesn't mean it's not true. You know what I mean? No one's ever seen me injecting steroids on YouTube or wherever, but doesn't mean I don't use them. But show me proof. It's like, well, it's hilarious. So it is interesting, that's why I love communication now. That's my pet subject now is communication, But yeah, if you're just hungry and hangry, and you're just thinking, I need carbs, I need more carbs, I need more carbs, I need more carbs, and you're just putting that off, you're distracting yourself, brushing your teeth, calling a friend, hanging out, doing something, hey guys, let's go do something, let's get some music and dance, and you're just trying to distract yourself from out and go, you fucking, man, what sort of life you live? And that's a prison sentence, when you could just eat as much carbs as you want, focus on keeping your fat intake low, and feel good every day, man. Feel your best every single day, and not being a prisoner of calories in, calories out. Because just by default, eating like I'm eating, low fat, unlimited carbs, you're good to go.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of, I know personally, and you were talking about this too when we were watching something, people often respond to this diet advice as to I don't have enough self-control to limit fat intake. But on the other hand, if you're trying to stick to a certain weight or obtain a physique, you're gonna have to have self-control at some point, because if it's not this, it's calories in, calories out, you're counting calories. I mean, kind of like what you were saying before, how you got your your lean physique just by riding, just as a result of eating in that certain way and being active. That's kind of the best way to get there. But you can't, not to say you obviously that's how these celebrities and all of these influencers, that's how they're getting there, calories in, calories out. That's still you got to have self-control. But why not eat as much as you want and then focus on one macronutrient?
And then once your head's straight, once you're feeding your brain, you won't care as much about the number. You won't like that's like what I'm saying, just going out and living life actively versus oh god, I lost a couple, I gained a couple pounds, I gotta go to the gym. Everyone says they love the gym, but no one really loves the gym. It's not very fun. You're stuck in a room with a bunch of people. But
most
it's not as fun as going outside and exploring the world. But so. And then the other thing that people are always, they're trying to tell me that high carb, low fat diet there's no science behind it being healthy or working in any way whatsoever, and it's just absolutely not true. But what most people don't understand is that if you're going to do that, you have to limit your fat. You can't, like that's what everyone says. Oh, if I'm just eating whatever and I eat sugar or carbs, I blow up. And it's not the sugar or carbs that's making you blow up. It's the combination of fat and protein and carbs together that might make you blow up.
And especially if these are people, if you're someone who's calorie restricting, it's that yo-yo dieting thing. I mean, we've
and
all
that
dealt with that.
makes your mental state yo-yo too, and that's what no one wants to talk about with the keto thing. They just some pro keto article once said that keto's good for your mental health, and everyone has just parroted ever since. When it's quite on the contrary. Depleting your brain of oxygen, which is what a high-fat diet does, isn't helping your brain, your body, your thyroid, your metabolism, your hormonal balance. Like your thyroid controls your hormones, which control everything. And if you're depleting your hormone of energy and oxygen, that doesn't help you in any way. You might have lost some weight, sure, but that's not a healthy way or a sustainable way to lose weight. And so if you are going to do this diet that we do, or if you are going to consider it, which is high activity, vegan, high carb, high sugar, which is a scientifically backed way of getting, there's a lot of science behind it. There's more science behind it than there is behind keto, that's for sure. But if you are going to do that, you have to learn how to limit your fat, and you have to be willing to limit your fat. And if you want to get a certain way, you have to be able to control yourself. And it's okay to mess up every once in a while. A lot of people get this idea, oh, I messed up twice in a row, therefore I'm going to give up on it.
Yeah, or it's not even to view it as a mess up. I mean,
it's
you
just
have
a bump in the road.
Some day,
we do
you have a high-fat day, whatever.
Crazy freaking
you go like 3 days in a row going out to eat doesn't mean, okay, it's over and it's all your health is reversed.
And you have to go to the gym for twice as long the next day and be down on yourself.
And actually, the healthier you get and the better your body is at rebounding after you do some unhealthy stuff, I mean, that's not to say do unhealthy stuff, or it's good to do that or eat unhealthily, but
it's like the forced workout. They're like, oh, I gotta go to the gym.
Yeah.
Instead of like, we're just like, oh, it's been a day. We try and ride every other day. I just went 3 or 4 days without riding, and she was at work yesterday, and I went and ride by myself, which I don't usually do, but I felt like I needed to. Like I was like, it's been a couple days. I need to go ride.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. Which takes, riding alone's tough.
Yeah.
It's like quitting cigarettes alone, like it's pretty tough in the beginning, but after you break through. But yeah, you have to be able, once you do catch the wave, and you do settle into this diet, it's just so easy to control your weight in any direction. It's very modular.
Yeah.
A lot of people will dismiss it just because they don't think they're capable of it, and they'll say, oh, it's not a good diet, but it is a good diet. It is a scientifically backed diet. It is a much safer diet than these carnivore keto type diets that are out there long term.
It just requires...
And that's all we're talking about here, because everybody's so on the keto tip right now, and it's the only way of being healthy for humans, when it's really not the most responsible diet, and it's not the most sustainable diet, where there are easy options like this diet. It's not even a diet, it's a lifestyle, because it's activity, it's what you eat, it's, being outside instead of, being sedentary, and just like keto's just, oh, let's just eat meat and lift weights, and it's like, that's just not very good plan if you want to live long.
It's not the ideal.
It's definitely not ideal.
Just constantly having to be running from the hunger signals, just be like constant denial, constant distraction. That's a nightmare. That is literally a nightmare. Like, that is, I couldn't think of much worse than that in terms of a daily.
Like, imagine, you know, you gain a little weight. You wake up in the morning, you jump on your scale, you gain you see you gained a couple pounds, you instantly freak out. You know, you're instantly bummed out about yourself. You're like, oh man, what do I gotta do? I gotta go waste all this time, go to the gym. You feel like shit all day because all week you worked out really hard and then you ate some, you know, like all of this type of thinking throughout the day. All the while you're starved. You're starving yourself. All this shit, you're around your kids, you're around whatever, you know, versus, hey, let's go riding today, babe.
Yeah. Being able to
let's eat 2 baguettes tonight.
Yeah.
Let's fill our you know, like let's eat fruit and dump sugar all over the top of it. And go riding tomorrow and go ride up that freaking canyon we've been wanting to explore, you know,
or let's hike up to the top of it.
Let's go ride to Float Fest this weekend. Let's fly into Austin and ride 300 miles. You know, like let's go bike camping. You know, like which way of staying healthy seems more long-term sustainable? Physically and mentally, which one, you know, our way of doing things or forcing and hyper focusing on this like calories in, calories out,
wasted
depression.
Energy.
It's depression, and you're frying your thyroid. You know, you wonder where all the autoimmune diseases come from. Like,
and I see it, man, and people suffer. And it's like, you see it.
And then you guys all go on Facebook and you all get together and lie to each other.
Yeah.
I feel great, you know, like.
Their eyes, like, look how clear my eyes are, you know? You see people, like I see these people on the TV.
Carly's 44, I'm 44.
You
know, like. There was that dude this last week that was trolling my page and he kept posting this picture of his abs, and this dude, he was like 50. Was he 50 or 48 or something?
I thought
he was only a little bit older than me, but dude looked fucking rough, and his abs.
Like, I look like I'm in my 30s.
Yeah, and he's all, check out my abs, but he didn't, like, he was fat. They were fat abs. They were like Joe Rogan abs.
Yeah, like the big gut.
And I was like, bro, you don't look 30. Like, I'm sorry. You know, like, you
and
don't
so
look 30.
Carnivore or keto? Or what was his? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just, the probably Sean
and he's
Baker
like,
type.
I lost like 35 pounds. That's great. You know, that doesn't mean you're healthy. And that's what, like, people, you know, like, look at Men's Health Magazine. Like, they're like, you know, it's batshit. And then the other thing is, like, people keep trying to tell me that they're all these keto athletes, and it's like, what? Like, there's no keto, there's no super. That was the whole Chris Froome thing was really funny because I'm a cyclist, and they're all, oh, well, look at Chris Froome, who's one of the most famous cyclists of all time, how he's been outspoken about being low carb for the last 3-4 years. But in the last 3 or 4 years, Chris Froome hasn't won a single race.
His performance has gone
and
down.
He's like, and the few other world-class cyclists that have gone, Tom Dulong, like, they're all tapering off. Yeah. They've gotten off carbs, and their careers are over.
They're getting older. They're trying to control their weight and lose weight. It's the classic scenario that we all, you know.
But they're being misinformed, and their careers are over. And it's super funny to have someone, you know, use that as oh, look at this guy. And I go in and I'm like, I find 8 or 9 different articles literally from Froome's dietitian telling it's just, it's really funny. But and it's funny to see the keto people because they don't have any studies to go to. They don't have centenarian studies that have been going 40, 50 years that hundreds of people have peer-reviewed, and who you can go to a website and go look at and actually go visit these people and ask them, which is not that crazy a science. We aren't talking about, what's going on the moon. We're talking about what's going on in Italy, to where these people are all living past 100 years, where everyone in the U.S. is living to 60. And I had a friend who's 3-4 years older than me that just passed away of a heart attack, and he's a cook, and that's scary. That's not going to happen to me. Yeah.
What's under their eyes? Yeah, that's one of the red flags. Like Casey Neistat said, they're big dark circles under their eyes. They're like calories in, calories out people. They're really just, not everyone gets it, but a lot of people do get it.
Yeah, Casey's shredded too.
But yeah,
real
probably one of the biggest ones is the inconsistent moods.
Rough.
Inconsistent moods, up and down, bipolar. Everyone's bipolar to a degree, but the calories in, calories out really exacerbate that. And so, yeah, gang, end of the day, gang, I'm just here to help people. Like, just carb up, mate. Cut the fat down low, carb up, ditch the scales. And focus on contribution and being productive, versus, because you want to do it versus, I'm going to burn some calories. It's like, oh, man.
If you're interested in this stuff, you should definitely follow Durianrider. He's a character. He trolls a lot of people, and I don't know, he's kind of entertaining despite all that stuff. But yeah, there's just something wrong, and we have to look closer at what might be wrong in our society, and what if we're all running around with starving brains, everyone's allegedly so dumb and everyone's such a fucking asshole these days. Where is this coming from? It's got to be, I know it's coming from the media, and it's bombarding us from all angles. But it's especially having to do with our physiology and the BS that has been fed to us by the powers that be, by everything we know. They want us to know for a reason. So everything that they've taught us about diet and health is to make sure we end up in a hospital.
Or at the very least, make sure we're confused, because there's
confused and fighting about it on the internet.
Yeah, confused and fighting, literally, people getting pissed and fighting.
But so the last couple of weeks, Allie's been working a lot, and she spoils me and cooks for me all the time. So when I'm at home, I always tend to end up fasting most of the day, eating when she gets home. I'll snack maybe a little, which is has always been my how I've eaten in the past mostly, which is a deficit, which isn't right. And this last couple weeks, I haven't been eating our normal diet. And the other day I was going to pick up some bike parts, and I was road raging. Not bad, yeah, but and I remember I remembered I used to do it all the time, and I just don't do it when I just this last year has been so calm. I absolutely didn't have it in me to get that riled up, and I've been dealing with a lot of shit in my life that would normally cause me to get quite riled up, and I've just been cool as a cucumber, and it was 2 weeks into eating not high carb that I start getting aggro at people on the road for not driving fast enough and dumb shit like that, and I was cracking up, and I was like, babe, I am not carved the fuck out right now, and I could totally tell. And I came home, and I'm normally, we're normally eating a baguette at least every other day, tons of rice, and juice. Yeah, all, like my lemonades, tubs of
bottles
them.
And
we eat a lot because we're very active. So I absolutely wasn't doing my normal tons of lemonade and the rice cooker. I guess she just showed me how to use it. Now I know, but I haven't been eating the rice and not, just she'd get home late and be she ate all day at work, and we'll have something small, so one meal a day versus my normal we're eating all day. And I absolutely noticed
a difference.
And was laughing all day because I was I can't even control it. I'm laughing at how upset I am. I never get this upset, and like I absolutely can't calm myself down. Like it's hilarious, and it was all because I was low carb, and
that emotional, like even physical, that regulation is just so much harder.
But then people,
depleted.
If they see that, they'll think, "Oh, I'm addicted to sugar." You know, I guess it's a drug, but
you're
no.
withdrawing.
I'm withdrawing from it. No, that is where you're supposed to be high off this shit, basically.
Because that's like saying
and you're
someone's
just looking at it completely the wrong way. Yeah, you're like, oh, you're addicted to air. You know, like
because
no.
you died because you had a bag over your heads because you're addicted to it. No, we have our tongues taste sweet for a reason. Our tongues can't like fat and protein.
Dopamine.
Like we don't have taste. It's our sense of taste is different from a cat. Cats can't taste sweet because they eat.
You get dopamine from
fat.
Carbohydrates and sugar.
And that's literally that happens when it touches our tongues,
Safe,
not because it's
efficient
a drug.
dopamine.
Why would our bodies give us that sensation so we can seek out a drug?
It is an essential nutrient.
Every
if you
cell
don't
in your
believe me
body
when I say this, people
Look
are
it
like, oh, we don't eat sugar at all. Hypoglycemia leads to death. Hypoglycemia is the lack of glucose in the sugar. Like, how could people say this stuff? Because it's like there's this like keto fad, and the more articles that are written about keto, the more retarded they're getting. And
it's reinforcing.
And then everyone's using these arguments that flat out aren't true. So, I would take a look at this other stuff because it seems a lot safer, and I've been doing it for a year, and I feel like I'm getting younger. My knee, I was I was in crutches for months.
When we first started dating, I mean, we went on a hike and you kind of rolled your
jarred my knee and destroyed my meniscus. And I was wrecked, and I was gonna have literally wrecked, hurting it over and over and over again, having to get this surgery that probably won't even work, where they have to take part of my hamstring out, and riding and going high carb fix that. And everybody's like, oh, riding's hard on your knees. No, it's not. It fixed my knee. You know,
especially not if you have the right gears.
If you get a bike and you go ride and it hurts your knee, that means because you're sitting on the bike wrong.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean
you don't have the right gears and you're not able to spin your legs. But
so there is nothing better you can do for your metabolism than going vegan and cycling and high carb,
and low fat.
There's nothing better you can do. Nothing safer, nothing more sustainable environmentally. Nothing more sustainable financially. It's cheap as fuck. We spend nothing on eating from month to month.
And we could eat cheaper.
We eat really good too.
We'll splurge on some fancier vegan stuff, some specialty items. Vegan meat stuff that you don't
mostly
need.
Rice,
that's
veggies,
more expensive. But our
bread,
base carbs,
sugar,
that stuff's
fruit.
cheap.
It's
Even
all
organic.
cheap.
Even get it or mostly organic from what you can. It's not,
And sometimes we go out and we go out to a restaurant, and we can eat whatever we want when we go have a special occasion. It's totally cool.
We don't eat out and be like, oh, that's it. We can't eat. We're not high carb, low fat anymore, and to just eat shit. It's that's not how it works.
Just stick to it.
You shouldn't even think about exercise. It's moving your body, and it's all relative to how fit you are. But if you're, if you're super unfit, just walking around the block could be exercise.
And just try and go farther and farther every day, and that's how you start with bike. With cycling, you just I remember the first day once I finally realized that if I was gonna hang out with my girlfriend ever, I needed to have a bike. We rode 4 miles, and I was like, that was 4 miles, all blown away. And so it's a lot more, because walking is just so goddamn slow and boring. So, every time you ride your bike, you just try and go a little farther, and you start, or, going up there's this dumb hill out here that we always go up, and in the beginning it was really fucking hard for me to go up this tiny hill. Yeah, and now I can do like freaking a wheelie up that shit, you know.
Yeah, no, it's
after not that long, and
like
we'd be out
nothing.
riding, and we come across some other cyclists or her friends, you know, and they'd be like, "Oh, damn! Like, how long you been riding?" And I'm like, 6 months, and they're like, "Geez," like, because we're up in the hills climbing, and climbing on a bike is really hard. But she put me through boot camp. You know, she basically was my coach and trainer and dietitian for the last year, and I mean, I'm a beast on a bike. But I mean, even if I wasn't cycling, I wouldn't mind having the cyclist physique. You know, like it's pretty freaking efficient, and you know, you look good naked. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's probably it for the sugar shit for the day. A lot of people were asking me for an update on the Liberty Movement crypto scam stuff that's going on. Me and Justin Pedini are going to be doing a video soon where we'll be updating everyone on that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there has been a bunch of scams going on using images of people from the Liberty Movement. People mostly in the anarcho-poco float, Jeff Berwick-ish kind of crowd. A lot of these scammers were people who attended Float Festival, or a lot of the images that the scammers are using are people that went to Float Festival and to Anarcho-Poco last year. And the scams started happening like almost 2 weeks, maybe a week or two after those events both ended. And these scammers I admin some huge Craigslist crypto pages. And these are not the same scammers as the ones, the mainstream scammers. These are a different type of scammer. And it's one thing to hear about these scams and just simply dismiss them as, oh, it's just some Indian scammers, but you know, you can't really prove that. And as far as like taking care of our community, we should really be looking into this stuff more. So I've been doing some research. Some other people have been doing some research. Just trying to track down websites and IP addresses and, you know, stuff, all the information to start getting, putting together reports on this stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to get down to who's doing this and figuring out some way of, you know, if it's not educating more people on it so they don't get scammed, or completely stopping them from scamming the scammers. I've seen that done. We'll be keeping you guys in the loop with that stuff. And we just got our not first, I don't know what I'm talking about. We're in a dip right now, crypto-wise. These markets dip. Everyone's freaking out like usual. You can't go up without going down. Down is just an accumulation period. You know, everyone is consistently getting money in their lives, and so if you have money and there's a dip, you should buy it. These dips are very important for the longevity of crypto, and they're important for the upwards. If crypto just went up all the time, it wouldn't, you know, things wouldn't be healthy. And so just look at this as an accumulation period. I always tell people in dips, this is when you want to hit up your friends who haven't bought crypto yet and be all, hey bro, there's a dip right now. You know, you want to set up you want to set up your Coinbase or crypto.com or whatever, because these are the good times. And people are always apprehensive when investing because they think they know that this might not be the right time. And so dips are always good opportunities to get newcomers involved, because the idea that it might not be the right time is gone. So when you tell them, you're like, hey, look, there's a big dip. You show them the chart, they're more apt to jump in. Right now, right now, just buy the dip, buy small caps. Matic is really low right now. just there's so many really good performing small caps. Loop Ring, IoTex is a really good one that's made me a lot of money this week. Loop Ring went ballistic this last month, but this is all non-dip stuff. We're in a dip right now. You should just be buying any small cap alts you have, and buy a couple shit coins so you have some disposable crypto that you aren't emotionally involved
you're not
with.
married to.
Yeah, there's a lot of these, there's SHIB and these Doge Elon and like all these goofy cryptos that you can buy 1 trillion of for $100. It's always good that if you have solid crypto bags and you have Bitcoin, you have ETH, and you have a bunch of good DeFi tokens, and you have some gaming tokens, you have a good crypto bag. It's always good to have a couple of these little shit coins, because man, then when they pop off, they pop off. But know that when you're in profit is the best time to take profits from them. And if you aren't emotionally involved with, I don't want to sell any of my coins, therefore I buy some coins that I wouldn't mind selling, So having a bag, where if you're in a situation where you have a shitcoin bag you don't care about, and some new protocol comes along and you're like, damn, I want to buy that, sell that shitcoin, and buy that good product. Always upgrade, but it's a good tool to have some real shitty coins, because you don't care about selling them. It's a good little psychological thing to have if you already have a broad spectrum portfolio. But right now, I know I haven't done a crypto video in a while, but we're still in the middle of this bull run. I still don't recommend day trading. I do recommend taking small profits from coins you are up high on to reinvest in small cap coins. Your large cap coins aren't going to go up as much right now. So getting in, I think Lark Davis put up a video or a meme the other day that said, if you have $1,000 right now, don't put it in Bitcoin. And it's true right now. If you want to turn that $1,000 into 10 grand, then you really need to get into the small cap market and find the quality small caps that are out there, because there's 1 million small caps and 900,000 of them are garbage. So if you find one of these small caps that is going to pop off, that's where you're going to make the most money, and that's where I've made the most money compared to my dusty old bags of large caps that hardly move around at all. I mean, ETH's done pretty well. But, it's these small cap, higher risk coins that you'll make the most money from, and you can get the most of them for the smallest amount of money. So, it's always good to have some money in those. And these gaming tokens, Sand and Mana, and they're doing really well, and they'll continue to do well because they aren't going to be as affected by the halvening cycle, because people will play games all the time. People will trade cryptos only when it makes sense. So if people are using the blockchain in video games all the time, that means basically that coin has that much more time to grow in value than coins that are affected by the halvening cycle, that are on a 4-year cycle of low and then high. These video game coins are just going to be high all the time, and then really high when Bitcoin is up. So anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week, I think. You got anything else? No? Yeah? No. Follow Durianrider on YouTube. He's a funny dude. Look at his past videos. I've showed him to a couple of buddies recently, and he's a funny dude and he knows a lot. But if you're into his kind of sense of humor, you'll appreciate it. But anyway, Talk to you guys later.
Peace.